Tonight we are stepping into one of the most intense shooters and looking at the exact moment it evolves. Bodycam, the ultra-realistic tactical FPS from the French indie team Reissad Studio, just received a massive overhaul with its November 25th, 2025 update, jumping to Unreal Engine 5.5 and reshaping the entire experience from zombies to PvP gunfights. This is not just a new map, it's a new weapon. This is a full systems upgrade that changes performance, sound, atmosphere, and how every close quarter push feels through that body camera lens. In this video, I'm breaking down the history of the game, the new village zombie map, the CQB Powergun multiplayer arena, the Crossbow, the technical rework, and how all of it plays when bullets start snapping past your head. This is Infinity Gaming. Let's dive in. Bodycam started as a small indie project in Unreal Engine 5, with one clear goal: create the first true body camera tactical multiplayer FPS where the footage looks almost like real life, and every movement feels heavy, imperfect, and human. Developed and published by Reissad Studio, the game launched into early access on June 7, 2024, and instantly stood out because of its photoreal maps, brutal close quarter fights, and that off-angle field of view that forces you to respect corners instead of sprinting through them. From the start, the devs pushed realism, detailed environments, raw sound, and a focus on team play in deathmatch, team deathmatch, and body bomb modes. But it was light on content and needed polish. This new update is their answer, backed now by a studio that has grown to over 100 people focused on turning this idea into a full platform. To understand how big this patch is, you have to know how Bodycam plays at its core. This is a tactical FPS where the Bodycam perspective changes everything. Weapon handling is slower, recoil feels violent, and sightlines are tight and claustrophobic. Movement can feel weighty on purpose, with animations that sell the idea that you're a real operator pushing through debris, halls, and staircases. Gunfights are usually resolved by the first accurate burst. There is almost no margin for ego peeks or spray and pray. The game leans heavily on realistic sound to build tension, using distant shots, footsteps, and echoes in those abandoned buildings to keep your nerves on the edge. Before this update, Bodycam already had a decent selection of maps, but the technical side, spawns, optimization, and content variety needed more structure. That is the base the devs decided to rebuild. The biggest quiet change in this update is not the zombies, it's the engine. Reissad has migrated Bodycam fully from Unreal Engine 5.2 to Unreal Engine 5.5, and that shift is the backbone of everything else. The team reworked GPU and CPU usage on all major maps, rebalanced texture memory, and reduced shader complexity so your frames hold even in dense firefights. They baked the lighting again, using the new pipeline, leaned harder on luminant virtual shadow maps, and converted the majority of textures to virtual textures, which means smoother streaming and fewer stutters when you swing into new rooms. On top of that, they pushed thousands of bug fixes across gameplay, UI, netcode, and systems, trying to make this version the stable base for all the ambitious content they're teasing for the 2025 roadmap. If Bodycam already felt intense before, the sound pass in this update pushes closer to a real recording. The devs integrated new footstep audio, fresh impact sounds, and updated melee effects so every hit has more weight in your headphones. They also cleaned up the ambient soundscape by removing looping birds and straight background noise on several maps, which reduces audio clutter and lets you read positions more clearly. On the new village map and in the zombie mode overall, they tuned sound occlusion so doors, walls, and distance do a better job of shaping what you hear. Then layered in end wave bells and voice lines that turn each round into a mini horror scenario. Blood effects, muzzle flashes, debris, and impact particles were polished with updated Niagara systems. So when you see rounds hit concrete or flesh, it reinforces the violence of each shot without breaking immersion. Village is the star of this update, and is now the largest zombie map in Bodycam. built as a kind of internal test lab for wide layouts, new AI systems, and crossbow mechanics. Visually, it is a cold abandoned town, concrete blocks, overgrown paths, multi-level structures, and open sightlines that still feel suffocating because of the realistic lighting and fog. Zombie mode here is not just a horde in a hallway. The space gives you long flanks, rooftops, and choke points that let you choose between holding an angle with traditional rifles or moving like a hunter with a new crossbow. The devs tune frame rate drops and fix errors specific to this mode, which means late waves stay stable even as the undead count climbs. Village is also where the devs experiment with pacing. They blend slow, eerie moments with sudden rushes using lighting shift and audio cues to keep your adrenaline spiking from round to round. Beyond the map itself, this patch is a full zombie mode overhaul. The team adjusted zombie clothing systems, improved animations, fixed end wave sound issues, and tightened frame pacing so the mode no longer feels like a side experiment that stutters when the action peaks. According to the devs, zombie mode is still considered a secondary space, a sandbox where they prototype new systems like the crossbow, AI routines, and environmental interactions before folding those ideas back into the main multiplayer experience. That design choice helps explain why Village feels so ambitious. They are using it to test advanced zombie pathing, different times of the day, and more atmospheric horror while keeping the core focus on tactical PvP. For players, it means the zombie playlists are where you can feel the future of Bodycam being shaped in real time. On the multiplayer side, the update brings the CQB Powergun, one of the largest and most complex maps Bodycam has ever had, and it's based directly on a real airsoft field in Cerny, France called CQB Powergun. The devs went deep on environmental scanning to recreate narrow corridors, layered balconies, and outdoor pockets that mirror the real layout, so every push you make in the game lines up with angles that airsoft actually run in that facility. Technically, they refined lighting, materials, and navigation so both players and AI can move cleanly through the space, turning it into a living training ground where the Bodycam perspective shines. You feel the walls closing in, your barrel scraping edges, and your peripheral vision fighting to keep up with every threat. Combat in Bodycam has always been about precision and under pressure. Short bursts, fast kills, and ruthless punishments for bad positioning. That November update respects that identity while widening your tools. Standard rifles, SMGs, and handguns still snap hard with realistic recoil and audio. But now you have the crossbow instead of zombie mode as a new way to control the flow. It hits like a silent sledgehammer, ideal for picking off targets without drawing half the horde. And it fits the Bodycam look perfectly. You feel the weight of the reload, the tight field of view when you line up a bolt, and the panic when you miss and hear the zombies closing in. Existing weapons also benefit from the audio mix changes and the refined blood and impact effects, making every hit easier to read visually and through sound. For anyone who bounced off Bodycam because of performance issues, this is where things get interesting. The update brings heavy optimization to GPU and CPU usage on major maps, reduces RAM pressure, and cleans up shader complexity, which translate into steadier frame rates and smoother camera motion even when fights get messy. Combined with the Unreal Engine 5.5 migration and new virtual texture pipeline, map loading feels faster and micro shutters are reduced across both PvP and zombies. The devs also fixed specific visual issues created by the engine change, such as placeholder graybacks VFX, and they continue to push updates to airsoft and other existing maps with small layout tweaks like new staircases to improve flow. All of this makes the game more reliable to record and stream, which is huge if you're capturing high-intensity clips for montages or breakdowns. Right now, Bodycam offers classic competitive pillars, deathmatch, team deathmatch, and body bomb on a rotation of photoreal maps like paintball, public pool, Rome, Russian building, and more, each built to highlight tight angles and brutal close-quarter fights. With this update, CQB Powergun joins that pool as a flagship space for multiplayer, while Village sits inside the enhanced zombie mode as its largest undead playground. Warren House, one of the earliest standout locations, while Village sits inside the enhanced zombie mode as its largest undead playground. Warren House, one of the earliest standout locations, has had its interior completely reworked, bringing it up to the new standard of detail and flow. Together, these changes make Bodycam feel less like a tech demo and more like a real ecosystem, where every playlist has at least one map design to show off the new engine, lighting, and sound work. One of the most impressive things behind this patch is how openly the devs frame it as a response to community feedback. They talk about key fixes requested by players and testers, from performance to gameplay annoyances, and they framed this as the first step into the new development rhythm for 2025. The studio has grown to more than 100 people, and is now working on external partners on major areas of the game, which you can see hinted in their 2025 roadmap, promising game polish, animation, and weapon system overhauls, new zombie experiences, and quality of life improvements. That tells me this update is not the end of the story. It's the foundation for even more ambitious content, with Village and CQB Powergun acting like proof of concept for how far they can push realism and scale. So what does all of this feel like when you are in the match, not reading patch notes? In simple terms, Bodycam now hits harder. The Unreal Engine 5.5 lighting, cleaner textures, and new sound mix combine to create atmosphere that often looks like raw footage pulled from an office camera. In Village, you hear distant bells, growth crunches under your boots, and zombies groaning somewhere inside a dark house while your crossbow rests heavy in your hands. In CQB Powergun, you are sprinting through a real airsoft facility with muzzle flashes bouncing off walls, debris popping into the air, and your squad yelling callouts that echo through concrete hallways. The result is a level of stress and focus that very few shooters can match right now, especially if you play with good headphones and let yourself lean into the immersion. This update positions Bodycam firmly as one of the most main contenders in the hyper-realistic shooter space, standing next to titles like Unrecord and other Bodycam style projects while keeping its identity as a multiplayer-first, map-driven FPS. If you want arcade movement, easy recoil, and loud HUD indicators, this is not your game. Bodycam is for players who enjoy methodical room clearing, tight communication, and the constant fear that one mistake will end the round. The new maps, engine upgrade, and audio pass close a lot of the gaps early reviewers pointed out, especially around performance, content variety, and polish. It still has room to grow with more modes and long-term progression. But as this update, the foundation finally matches the ambition of those viral clips that first put Bodycam on everyone's radar. After spending time studying this update, I see Bodycam 2.0 as the true starting line for this game. Reissad Studio has taken that raw, almost unsettling realism and unlocked it into a much stronger technical frame with Unreal Engine 5.5. The Village Zombie map, CQB Powergun, the Crossbow, and a deep audio and performance overhaul that finally lets the vision breathe. For players who love tactical tension, frightening atmosphere, and close-quarter gunfights that feel almost too real, this update turns Bodycam from an interesting experiment into a shooter you should definitely have on your radar. And this is exactly the kind of updates I want to keep bringing here on Infinity Gaming, where I'll bring you the latest speculations, reviews, new games, and even the ones under the radar. And of course, every new title worth your time. Subscribe, like, comment below with your thoughts on Bodycam's new update, and most importantly, share this with your fellow gamers. Infinity Gaming, out!